Hey, folks, here on Truth Wanted, we're interested in separating what actually happened from what we've been told happened because history isn't just a list of dates and names. It's a story that's written by people that's full of biases, gaps, and sometimes straight up agendas. So, how do we verify it all? Well, call into the show now because we're going to talk about it right now. Let's do it. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Truth Wanted. I am your host, ObjectivelyDan, and this is the live call-in show that happens every single week, Fridays at 7 p.m. Central Time, where we talk to people about what they believe and why. If you'd like to call us, you should, because the lines are open right now. The number is 512-991-9242, or you can call through your computer at shiny.cc/calltw. And hey, folks on TikTok, we are now live streaming on TikTok as well. Welcome. You can also call into the show through your phone. Don't worry, you don't have to go to a computer or a different device. If you check the description of this video, you should be able to connect to a link that can get you into the show. And folks, Truth Wanted is a product of the atheist community of Austin, a 501c nonprofit, or it's 501c3. The 3 is important, folks. Don't forget it. A 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to the promotion of atheism, critical thinking, secular humanism, and the separation of religion and government. And every single week, always try to have a special guest with me. This week is no different. I got Flabbergasted joining me today as my co-host. Flabbergasted, what is going on?
Oh, not much. Just really enjoying being here and ready for some good calls, really dig into some meat and bone issues.
Yes. I want to thank you, Flabbergasted, because we did have a different guest lineup for tonight, and they had to make some last-minute arrangements away, but you stepped up, and you're here, and you're joining me today, so thank you for doing that. What's been new with you? How's it going?
It's going pretty good. I've been working on a new project lately, and trying to get back into my social media game and really hitting on the things that matter to me. I've been doing some stuff with RFR, which is a really important thing for me. And so just got my finger in a lot of pies.
What's RFR for people who don't know what that is?
Recovering from Religion Foundation.
Yeah. So, and what do they do?
Recovering from Religion works with people who are struggling with deconstructing religion or questioning their religious beliefs, and creates a space focused around peer support for people to go through that process. So mostly support groups, but there's also a live chat that you can reach out to people on. And if you need help immediately, we have support groups at RFR. There's more support groups at RFR every month than there are days in the month. So definitely check them out, recoveringfromreligion.org. I've been working with them on starting a new TikTok live with RFR called RFR Lives. That is going to be on every Tuesday of the first Tuesday of every month, midday. So keep an eye out for that.
Nice. Yeah, we love Recovering from Religion around here. And I'm actually going to be doing something with Recovering from Religion pretty soon. So stay tuned for that if you watch their content. But yeah, that's great. Making time for all that stuff. You said you're doing more social media stuff, and like social media, I'm so done with social media. I've never been more done with it, honestly. But it's like still kind of like important to the world, and like being a professional, you even have to have a LinkedIn, which is basically like business social media. Like if you want to like apply to jobs or do anything with that, and I don't even want to do that, but everybody keeps making me. I don't know. It's annoying, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't have a link. I mean, I probably do somewhere, but it's probably scrubbed.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't updated mine in a while. I'm just saying I hate that it's there. I can't just like, I don't know. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, I'm here. I'm streaming, right? I enjoy doing this.
Yeah, I can imagine you don't like your face being on the internet.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So I'm a hypocrite in some ways. But like also at the same time, I don't know. I don't feel a need to do it. You know what I mean? In terms of like posting about my day every day or stuff like that. I don't know. To me, that just sounds like work. It's too much.
Yeah, no, I don't do any of that. I use it mostly for advocacy. I use it for addressing issues that I care about, especially and including issues that we don't get to talk about on this show with the ACA.
Right.
But I also I'm also an advocate for polyamory and relationship related stuff. I do stuff with Recovering from Religion. I do stuff with people the queer community as well. I'm part of the queer community, and so I'm an advocate for that. And so just all kinds of stuff I just really sink my teeth into.
Speaking of all kinds of stuff to sink our teeth into, I want to go back, Flabbergasted, to my little cold open there, because I want to talk to you specifically about history. You've had a career working in history in the past, and so it's something that you're especially passionate about. And we were talking before about what to talk about today, and I thought that we came to a great topic, which was this idea of, like, how do we know what we know about history, and like what's a good sort of way to figure that out? And I know it's like a complicated question, but we should have a basic way for some people, right? Because I get it. The world is getting more complicated every single day. But you said something interesting before we got started here. You said that everybody knows something that everybody says they know something to be true that's absolutely 100% false when it comes to history. And I thought that was interesting. So maybe let's start there.
I didn't say it quite like that.
Okay, all right, fine. I'm paraphrasing here. Go ahead.
I said everybody has some sort of historical fact that they know.
Yeah.
I put historical fact in quotes here, right?
Yeah.
That is almost certainly wrong.
Okay.
And as much as it's true, it's not, right? So there might be grains of truth. So I would never say 100% wrong, because that's going to be a really hard line. That's where I kind of.
I don't know. Okay, maybe I'm the radical then. I think everybody thinks they know something that's 100% wrong about history. I'd go that far.
I think most.
I can't prove that, but that's what I feel in my heart. So.
Like 100% true. That's a lot of not true. Like that means there can't even be a kernel of a fraction of a truth in there.
Yeah, well, I mean,
a lot.
Yeah.
Can you be, from a philosophical sense, can we be certain that we know anything with 100% certainty,
Yeah, sure. I mean, we can go into that. But I just mean, like, I think that, and it may be like an established historical fact that may not be true, right? That, like, a lot of us believe. Like, because that happens all the time, right? Like, how many things are people say, oh, this is the narrative that we taught about this time period for the last 300 years. But then, oh, we've just made a discovery that kind of overturns that. And now we have to think about things differently, right? Like, how many times do you see that headline in the news?
We see the headline all the time, but the headline is almost always exaggerated. They're like, everything we know about this thing is wrong. And it's like, no, there's actually a nuanced change of what we know. Like, there's a lot of still basis of fact that we do still know that hasn't changed. It's just there's like nuance and context that changes a lot. It's very rare in history for us to take someone that we believe to have been a historical person that we later find out is absolutely not. It happens, but it's a relatively uncommon thing. And it doesn't mean that we accept that everybody in history that we address as real people absolutely were. But until we can demonstrate that they weren't, we kind of assume that they probably were. Because as I mentioned to you before, in history, the most mundane claim you could ever make is that someone lived.
Yeah, you're talking about this idea, because this is something, again, we were talking about before the show, but I'm glad you brought it up. It's this idea of the historical Jesus, right? Many atheists have come on this show and have their takes on it. It's a pretty split idea. It's not set in stone for a lot of atheists. I would say most of us probably think that Jesus was a real person. There's definitely a minority that think that he's not real. You sound like you're on the camp of saying that he is a real person.
I would go with he's a real person, or potentially an amalgamation of people that is kind of talked about as one person. Like, that's a possibility that I think is reasonable. Or a person that had stuff put onto them that wasn't accurate. I think those are more likely scenarios, because that's usually what we see, even with the myth characters. Mythical characters are usually still based on a real person. It's the version of that person that we talk about in the myth that probably didn't exist, right? Like Odysseus probably existed. He almost certainly didn't visit an island of sirens, right? So the version of Odysseus that had interactions with sirens, that version of Odysseus didn't exist. But did an Odysseus probably exist? Probably. Right. And that's kind of that nuance.
Explain to me how that works. Because when I look at a guy like Odysseus, I mean, like, the Odyssey is full of just fantastical stuff. I mean, it's basically a fantasy story for all intents and purposes, right? Except, I mean, there was a real, like, Peloponnesian War, I guess.
Yeah.
So how does that work? How do you go from this guy maybe fought in a war to, he was fighting one-eyed giants and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, go read Herodotus, right?
Mhm.
The father of history in so many ways. His entire account of history is just saddled with all of this superstition and all of these religious beliefs and attributing things to gods and all of this stuff. It's happening in there, but there's also so many things in there that are much more grounded, that are very realistic. So when someone says this country and this country fought against each other, right? That's that's something that we can actually quantify. We can actually look at those things. But when someone says, well, this person attacked this person because of, they were inspired by Ares, the god of war, and I'm being very kind of glib with that, but that's we're not going to take the Ares influence very seriously there. But we are going to be able to say, well, if there was a war, if there was a fight, we should find record of it. And with the Iliad and the Odyssey, like we have some things that actually track out. We've found a place that is likely to be Troy. Like
So
these are things that matter.
a Christian might say, well, is the reason why you don't take the Aries thing seriously because you're assuming a secular worldview, right? That's the thing apologists say. Well, you're assuming a secular worldview, so of course you can't believe that like miracles happened, right? What would you say to that?
I would say I will happily accept the existence of miracles as soon as they're demonstrated to occur. So when
Hmm.
we look back in history, we can't assume that something that happened in history that we can't demonstrate could still happen today is something that actually happened. So we take things that we understand about reality as a whole, and we are going to look at those things when we look back in history with that same lens. So when someone says that there was a 20-foot giant that they fought, and we have no record of anyone being 20 feet, like 20 feet is far beyond the largest human that's ever been demonstrated to exist. There's no other creatures or entities that we've ever found and demonstrated to have actually existed that are of that size. So when someone says there's a 20-foot person, okay, maybe you're exaggerating. Maybe they were just like 6'2" and like
Hmm.
you were just really small. And so it felt like a 20-foot person, right? So like
Hmm.
these are the things that we take. So it's not that I'm coming at it from a secular perspective or that I don't accept miracles. It's that I can't assume that something happened in the past if we can't also find those things happening in any way, shape, or form in a way that we can demonstrate today.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense to me, but I'm not a Christian anymore. So you know what? I'm a little bit biased myself. But maybe you're a Christian and you're watching this show right now. You definitely should call in if you are, because again, we have open lines and we want to talk to everybody, not just Christians, but also if you have other kinds of beliefs about history, maybe that other people don't necessarily believe in. Maybe history actually started. What's that one idea where it's like, oh, it started at like the year 800 or something, and then it kept going, and everything else is like backfilled. You know what I'm talking about? You know,
The idea that like the universe was created in such a way that all of the history that happened before that was like fabricated but didn't actually happen.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, like that
Yeah,
kind of stuff. I don't know. There's a lot of weird history sort of rabbit holes when it comes to pseudo history is
yeah.
under.
Call in with your pseudo historical claims,
Yeah,
please. Like let's talk about them. If you think that everything we understand about history is just wrong, that our the way we evaluate historical claims is not good. Like let's go. Like come
yeah,
talk to me about how we have more evidence for Jesus than Alexander the Great. Please,
yeah.
I'm here for that.
Yeah, come in. We're ready. We want to talk about it. And while we are waiting for some of you guys to talk to us, I want to bring in Kelly real quick. Kelly is our backup host for today, and he is doing his thing. What's up, Kelly? What are you doing?
But I like it when you were the pirate cast. Oh, I gotta go.
Y'all, Kelly's doing bits. He's doing bits on the show now. That's crazy. Man, that's funny, man.
You mean he wasn't actually on the phone? We weren't interrupting Kelly rudely? That's
I mean, I don't know. I believe it. I could see it being real, but no. Thanks, Kelly.
So how's it going?
It's going good, man. Thanks for joining us. Glad you're ready and prepared to talk to us.
Yeah.
Did you have a good phone call? Was that
Yeah. I was talking to a friend.
a friend? Yeah. I guess She's not from here though, right? She goes somewhere else. Anyway,
She's from
to a
Can-
different
She's
school.
from Canada.
she's from Canada, of course.
You would know her.
Kelly, every week we are asking somebody a question, and I want to know, what was our question that we asked folks last week?
Last week we asked. I'm sorry, I'm laughing. What biblical mistranslation should be in the Bible? And here's our 3 favorite answers. Number 3 from Chuck Gatos. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit what's left of the earth.
Yep.
Which seems a little too realistic.
That's real though. That's good. Yes. No notes on that.
And number 2 from Ironclad Alibi. What biblical mistranslation should be in the Bible? Jesus said, whenever 3 or more are gathered in my name, an offering plate shall be passed. That's a pretty good one.
That's accurate.
Yeah.
Good one.
That's too accurate. That's creepy.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that.
I'm pretty sure that's actually the original Greek. I'm pretty confident.
Yeah, that's the koine for sure. Yeah. These are on point so far, Kelly. What's our number 1?
Number 1 from Blue 5469. That's a new name for us. A biblical mistranslation. It should be in the Bible. You shall lie with the man as with a woman. After you shall get brunch.
Okay. All right. Little zesty there. I like it. A nice.
I like
nice
the brunch part.
Day. Yeah. That's.
I
good.
feel like after you lie with someone, you should just make them breakfast. Like they deserve it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. But then what happens when the other person thinks the same thing, and then you guys are both in the kitchen?
I was just going to
Or-
say,
And
but I
that's
wanted to make me
that's a
breakfast.
very like kind of romantic, sweet gesture. You sit there, you cook eggs together, you trip
Yeah.
over each other.
Okay.
You know?
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's something to be said there about that. Okay. All right. Well, these are all really good answers. I like this ones because, and you're right, this one was a little too real this week.
Can I throw one out?
Yeah. Yeah. You
Please.
got one.
For God so loved the world, he gave up an uncomfortable weekend.
Yeah.
Whoever
That's-
believes in him shall not perish. But
I've
have
always
life.
thought that. Even when I was a kid, I was like, how much of a sacrifice is it for a God though? Because like he went back
Right.
and did his thing. I don't know. It didn't seem like
I'm not the first person to say this, but it's
Yeah.
it's the adage of like he sacrificed himself to make up for the rules that he made, and the consequence of that was that he had an uncomfortable weekend, so that way everyone's sins could be forgiven.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. But anyway, like I said, I'm not a Christian anymore, so I don't have to worry about it. But Kelly, you have a new prompt for us this week, right?
I do have a new prompt. Yes, I do. How do you know it's time to fact check? Wrong answers only.
Wrong answers only. Yes, I love this one. I think this is going to be a really good one. So yes, leave your comments below on when you should fact check wrong answers only, and we will pick our top 3 for this next week. You guys got any good answers for that one? I guess not. So you guys.
I was thinking when the water gets about this high.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's a good one. Well, I think our commenters can leave even better ones. So leave a comment below, whether it's on TikTok or on YouTube, and we will try to pick the best ones for this next week. Kelly, appreciate you coming up here. And you can
Sure. I just got one bone to pick. I
okay.
mentioned
Oh
this
yeah, that's
before the
right.
show.
You did say you wanted to mention
I
something.
did
Go
mention,
ahead.
like all the other backup posts get to go into a closet,
That's
and I
right.
keep getting sent back to a cage. And number one, you're not changing the paper, and it's really embarrassing when I have to change clothing. So I would like to have some walls in a closet myself. If that's not too like an ad.
Oh, what's that? I think we lost Kelly there. Oh, I think he's
The audio's still coming through because the bars of the cage aren't soundproof like the closet is.
Kelly, we'll replace the newspaper in that cage real soon. Okay,
Yeah.
just don't worry. Go back to that phone call.
We'll just put a new layer on top of the old one.
Yeah, we'll figure something out for you. It's okay.
I'm just saying, when I was a backup host, I was being put in the closet because I'm queer. So, what are we complaining about?
Guys, we need to get higher quality pet food for Kelly, I think. We can't keep buying the cheap stuff because
Costco dental bones aren't good enough, huh?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe a new. I don't know. This bit's gone on long enough. Let's keep it rolling, folks. This is a call-in show, so I think we should talk to our callers. Hey, what a novel concept. What do you think, Flabbergasted? You want to talk to some people?
I think that'd be very on brand.
Okay. Well, before we do, we have to give a shout out to the folks that donate on the Patreon, because every single week we're always giving a shout out to the Patreon donors. Oh, and I love how this graphic on TikTok is just like right in front of my face. It's really awesome. This
Perfect
week's
place.
patron of the week is going to be, maybe I'll move my mouth over there. That's not going to work. This is for Steve D. Thank you so much, Steve D. You are the Truth Wanted patron of the week. And thank you to everybody that donates on the Patreon. You guys are awesome. And now that we've got our shout outs out of the way, let's dive into our first call. And this first one is going to be a little bit special, a little bit different from what we usually do. Because, folks, how do we build a strong, supportive community outside of our religious frameworks? That's what we want to explore on our new segment, which we're calling our Community Spotlight. And today's guest is doing just that. We have Christine Retqua calling in, and she is one of the co-chairs of the Humanists in Action, which is a committee that is part of Minnesota's Humanist MN organization. She wants to share about this humanist group and some of the important campaign work that they're doing that's based in Minnesota. So we are going to talk with them now. And there you go, Christine, you are live on Truth Wanted. What's going on?
Hey, how you doing? What's going on? It is Friday evening, and I'm so glad to be done with the work week.
Yes, me too. Me too, Christine. I'm really glad that we're doing this segment, and I'm glad that you get to be a part of this segment. So, Christine, tell us about what you're doing in the community.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm enjoying your conversation and appreciate so much Atheist Community of Austin's interest in connecting with our group at the other end of US Highway 35. And I really noticed on your information, and you reference community, you reference humanism. So I think we are a like-minded bunch across these. What's going on? Humanism.
Yeah, absolutely. And I-35, that's a highway that needs a lot of humanism. Let me tell you, because a lot of road rage on that highway. You know, it's not the best highway out there. You see a lot of bad stuff. So I'm glad we have that highway connection. But anyway, please continue.
Yes, it goes through a lot of the country, doesn't it? And across all kinds of lots of folks.
Yes, that's right.
Humanist MN is a chapter of American Humanist Association based in Minnesota Metro. We call ourselves a non-religious or secular community for ethical living. And when I describe that to folks, I'll say we pursue policies and practices that help all life and the planet thrive. So what we're about, we do a lot of the things that I think you folks and we would do, a lot of discussing, a lot of debating, a lot of learning. We also focus a lot on community that includes between each other and being with like-minded people, forming relationships, because that's what it's all about, but also what we can do to help our community and our members of the community. And that's what Humanists in Action is about in two angles. One is community service, or a lot of projects, and particularly the one that I'm gonna highlight today, but also legislative advocacy. We can advocate for campaigns, but being a 501c3, we wouldn't advocate for a person. When I say campaign, I mean we can advocate on issues, but we wouldn't advocate for a person because we are a 501c3. But we want to help build the world that helps all humans thrive, and that's part of how we do it.
Yes, and I love that. And obviously, you know, we share in that mission as well. And it's so great that there's other groups like yourselves that are doing very important work, particularly with this campaign that I know you want to talk to us about today. We're talking about the Food Group, which is a food distributor that distributes food and mutual aid to a ton of different places. Tell us more about what you guys are doing with that.
Yeah, the Food Group has been around in some form or another under a different name for about 50 years. They started as a food shelf and they ended up buying a large warehouse so they could become they could purchase in bulk and then break out into quantities that food shelves can handle, and then distribute it further down the line into families. And so that's what our group has started a relationship with them years ago, that we have a crew every single month, and they come and they break out that food so it goes to the next place to get it closer to the families. Thousands of pounds every year that we help distribute. So I'm really pleased to help do what we can to help our neighbors. And they've grown. Right now, it's really important. It's been important, certainly, and probably other areas of the country, your area probably too, are realizing and finding the cost of food has gone up.
Yes.
And it's affecting probably every community, and more people who were perhaps okay with what the cost of things were before, more are struggling. Folks who were struggling before, it's gotten even harder. So we really, really need this as a resource. As for now,
go ahead.
For now,
please.
specifically, you probably all know what's going on in Minnesota. We have immigration agents here, thousands of them, and that's led to families being afraid to be out because these folks are kidnapping first and asking questions later, if at all. So people who look like they might be on their list of interest, doesn't matter if they really are, doesn't matter if they're an actual citizen or have some form of legal status, they will grab them up and detain them. And so many are afraid to go to work, but some are going to work. But if you don't go to work, you don't get paid. Some folks might be going to work, but they're afraid to go to the grocery store. And so they're not getting the food they need. They're really struggling with that. Food Group has stepped up and built on their relationships with the food shelves and added in mutual aid groups, which is residents of the community making donations, not through a other bigger food chain. And what the person at the Food Group told me this week is that on the list of folks who are seeking help is 27,000 families. That's the size of a small city. And restaurants are kind of shutting down. Lots of businesses are really hurting because folks are afraid to go out in the community.
Wow.
The Food Group folks tell me they can get food, but it's getting it then to the families who need it. That is the problem. So more people need it because more people aren't working. And that's what our effort is now. I mean, food is essential, right? So if we want to help, they need it.
Absolutely. And so how can people help out if they want to help out and they are not a part of your organization right now? What if they're listening here in Texas? Can they do anything?
Oh, yes, they can. Yes, they can. You may have the page that we shared because the Food Group created a campaign page for us for this donation effort. I don't know. Do you happen to have that?
Yes, we do. And in fact, we should be displaying it. I think we're displaying it right now on our stream. So and we also have information in our description as well. Okay.
So there is an address. It's give.mn/N like Nancy, 0, R like Robert, P like Peter, I like ice cream, G like George on that campaign page. If that really gets to be a problem, thefoodgroupmn.org. They'll take it there too. It would maybe connect with the campaign we're doing, but hey, they need those funds. Doesn't matter how they come in the door. It's really, really appreciated.
Awesome. And Christine, I want to ask you one more question before we let you go today. And thank you so much for talking to us about this opportunity that you've been a part of. You are a humanist, right? And so when you're volunteering for this, are you doing this because you're hoping you get to go to heaven afterwards, or what's the motivation for you?
Let me try to put this into words. I haven't been asked it in that way. It's certainly true that I'm not expecting anything in the future. I'm expecting it because these are my neighbors. These are my fellow humans. And when I walk down the street, I always look to make a connection and look them in the eye and give them a little smile. These are our fellow beings on this planet, I can't imagine not helping.
I love that. That's so great. I was being my question was so facetious, and you answered so beautifully. I almost feel bad now for being joking as it was.
Best serious response to a very flip.
I know it was just great. Like I'm over here just making jokes, but we're talking about like a really awesome cause. And Christine, I'm so glad that you got to highlight that with us on the show. Like I said, we'll have more information in the description of this program, and definitely. Folks, if you want to help out with other nonprofits like the Humanists of Minnesota and groups like the Food Group, definitely check it out. And also, if you like to shout out your own opportunity that you think would be great to talk about on this program, you can do that. You can email us at spotlight@atheist-community.org, and we'd love to share some of your opportunities on the program. So, Christine, thanks so much for being on the show today. Anything else you wanted to say before we let you go?
I thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm so glad that I don't remember which person in Atheist Community Boston reached out, but I love having connection. Just love it. You can never have too many friends. So thank you all. I now have you all on my radar.
Absolutely.
And thank you for all the work that you are doing.
Yes.
We're on a show. You're out there feeding people.
That's right.
Okay?
That's right. We're doing the easy thing. We're inside, talking into microphones, and you're out there doing stuff. And we want to send as many people as we can your way. So thanks again for talking to us. And shout outs to all the folks in the area in Minnesota right now who are, living their best lives or trying to. Okay. We see you. We see you. So thanks again, Christine. We're going to go ahead and let you go, and hope to hear from you again sometime, and want to see what's going on with that. Gosh, what a great opportunity. And again, folks, if you have your own opportunity that you want to shout out, check out that email address I mentioned at spotlight@atheist-community, because we want to highlight folks in the community. We want to make sure that we're trying to do our part by at least pointing the way, right, to things that you can do to help out. What were you going to say to that, Flabbergasted?
I was just going to say, like, if you are out there and you are wanting to help, like, we can't all go out and start our own organizations, but we can support the ones that are out there. There are people in Minnesota who are struggling. There are people, not just in Minnesota, but especially in Minnesota, who are struggling with what's going on in the world right now. And there are absolutely places and people that are out there helping them. And the more you can help and support those organizations, so people are getting food, they're getting, any sort of legal aid they may need for whatever issues they may have going on. Any of that stuff it's so valuable. It's so valuable. So 100%. If you have the means and the ability, please find something. And when we find it, we'll let you know about it, just like we did today.
Yep. That is super, super real. So thanks so much again, Christine, for being on with us today. I want to go ahead and move on to another caller and just get straight to it. You want to just keep it moving?
Roll. Let's go.
All right, let's just keep going. We do have now Kelly. Hold on, Kelly. Before we get to this next caller, can I get Kelly back up here again? Sorry, Kelly. I know you're sorry. Let me just unlock this cage real quick. Oh, there he is. Okay, he's already out there. Hey, Kelly. Kelly, you doing good?
What's up,
man? You good?
I'm doing good.
We had a bet going, right? We had a bet going.
Yes, we did.
Bet?
Yes, we.
What were the terms of this bet, Kelly, that we had, you and I?
I don't think we actually had what we were going to do for each other, and I thought that, as I recall, the bet was for how long it would take.
Yeah. And what was your prediction? What was your guess?
I was thinking it was going to take about 3 months, as I recall.
Yeah. What we're talking about, folks, is
I'm missing so much context.
We do have John from Canada calling us again.
Oh, okay.
John from Canada said that he was not going to call the show anymore. He said he was done with it. And I said, we'll give it a few months. I wish I wrote down exactly how long it was.
I think we both agreed that it was going to be like 6 to 12 weeks or so around there.
I think it was 6 to 12 weeks, something like that. I don't know if we're quite in that time range, but we're pretty close, I'd say. Yeah. John, you're live on Truth Wanted. What's up, man? I thought you weren't going to call the show anymore.
Hi, John.
Hey, John.
Hi, Kelly. But before I answer that question, I want to know. So, who won the bet?
I don't. We didn't write it down. We should.
Yeah, we didn't
money.
write.
We should
Yeah.
have put it on Polymarket because
I'm going to put money that Kelly won the bet. That's my bet. I bet that Kelly won the bet.
I think you were sooner than me. I think my estimate was a bit more conservative. That's what I remember. It doesn't matter, John. But here's the thing. We both said that you were going to call back, and you are calling back right now. So what's the deal, man? I thought you weren't.
Hey, what do we got
anymore?
I really meant that, but I miss you guys. Plus, I have something very important to say.
Cool.
Okay, that's it. You missed us.
And he's got something important.
Did you miss me?
John,
I did.
I got to tell you, I expected you to come
That's
back.
okay.
It's hard to say I missed you when I knew you were going to be coming back. Any day now. So, it's just it worked itself out. What can I say?
Yeah, but what I'm really curious. What do you got for us, John? Did I
the
inspire
important
you
thing?
with my request for pseudo historical claims? Because
what I want to say is that the people in New York, they made a big mistake in hiring Mr. Bandami to be their.
Well, that's not
not what
really
you said you want to call in about, John. You want,
and that's also not the realm of this platform.
Yeah, we can't.
Right?
We can't talk about
501c3.
politics.
We don't talk about politics here. There are plenty of places where people
Okay,
can talk
fine.
about that.
We'll
This is one of them.
We'll talk about the mystical heroes. I heard you talking earlier.
Thank you.
Mystical
Thank you for following through with what you told our call screener you would talk to us about, like you should do. Thank you. John, you've called in maybe more than anybody else. You know the rules. That's how we do things, right? So anyway, tell us about this idea that you have.
Okay, I heard you speaking, and you're saying that people like Odysseus and Odysseus and Ulysses are the same person, but people like Odysseus, Hercules, may have been real people, but they were what's the word I'm looking for? They were exaggerated to make them look better than they are.
Absolutely.
And I remember the 1995 movie Braveheart.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, in that very film, Braveheart, played by Mel Gibson, he's leading his troops, and none of the troops know how Braveheart looks like. So when he's there, they're saying like, okay, when he's there leading them, he says, "I'm William Wallace." They're like, "You're not William Wallace. William Wallace is 10 feet tall," and then William Wallace cuts him off saying, "Yes, he's 10 feet tall. He can shoot lasers out of his eyes and fire out of his ass," meaning that the stories were exaggerated within that narrative.
Mm-hmm.
So
and that was within that individual's same lifespan too. So like, imagine what happens when he had a couple decades or a couple hundred years.
Yeah, that's exactly my point. So I'm assuming that's what you're talking about with Jesus, right? I mean, he may have been an ordinary man that was given superhuman powers over the years by his followers. I'm assuming that's what you're talking about.
That's what I would find to be the much more plausible and realistic answer to the question of, did Jesus exist? Sure, but we have no reason to believe that he was anything more than a guy who said things that people liked, and therefore they put him up on a pedestal and exaggerated the hell out of him, just like happens to everyone else who is put up on a pedestal in history.
It doesn't just happen in history. It happens today. And I brought this up a million times before, John, but I'm from the Waco area, and David Koresh, his followers, remember that thing in the 90s? Some of them are still alive. Yeah, they're still alive, and a lot of them still live in Waco, and a lot of them still say that he was the Messiah. And you know what? They'll tell you about things that he did that were miraculous, about how he appeared to them in dreams, and how he touched them, and how they felt better and had these visions. I mean, these are contemporary living people that have these stories. Can you imagine a world pre-internet,
fact-checking,
pre-mass writing and reading, right? What kinds of stories can be told about people? It's really not that hard to imagine when you consider it like that.
And Jesus wasn't the only religious figure that had that happen. You could say the same thing about Muhammad, Lao Tzu, just about every religious. Zoroaster also had a lot of tales about who he was and what he did.
Yeah.
So just about every religious founder has these mythicized myths. These mythicized myths.
Here's what I find interesting. In the 20th and 21st centuries, we have men like Mr. Kress, like you just mentioned, that can actually convince people, adults, that they are gods. How is that possible?
Mm-hmm.
Well, a lot of people have asked themselves that question. I think that's kind of beyond the scope of our expertise. But if you'd ask my opinion, I'd have to say some people are psychologically vulnerable.
And I would say all people are.
All people are. Some people more so than others in certain areas, right? And some people have needs that can be fulfilled in cult communities. You know what people in cults say? A lot of times they say they're great. A lot of times they say they're happy, and maybe later they realize things weren't as great. But if you're convinced that you're happy in the moment, you're going to be happy in the moment. I mean, that's what it is. Cults provide a lot of psychological needs and also material needs for people. So that's a big reason why. Definitely one of them.
Yeah, I think it's. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Kelly.
Oh,
that was Flabbergasted.
Go ahead. So I think it's people are very subject to this. We are, or certainly don't seem to have been a species that has come into existence, however you think that happened, with the ability to have a very good measure of reality. We're really bad at parsing out fact and fiction. And that explains so much about all of human history. And for us to think that any of us are above that fault in our cognitive function is, I think, kind of a degree of narcissism. Like no one is subject to being right about no one is capable of not being wrong. Everybody is wrong about something. And that's what we talked about earlier. When we talk about historical facts, I was talking about this. Everybody has a historical fact that they know that's probably wrong. Almost certainly wrong. And that's not just true about historical facts. It's true about so many things. We are often wrong about our relationships with people. We're wrong about how we remember events happening. We're wrong about everything all the time. The only way we're ever closer to truth is when we amalgamate all of this information from lots of different people and we put it into a spreadsheet and then we check it. Not literally a spreadsheet, but you get my point.
Yeah. Okay, what do you think, John?
There's a big difference between being wrong about something and thinking that someone has divine powers. But what I think is that when someone is weak and vulnerable and they approach someone and they make them feel better, you can pretty much make them do whatever you want. Plus, we humans, we're superstitious people. Like, we believe in four-leaf clovers. We believe in lucky rabbits wishing upon a star. And I guess cult leaders tap into that. But what's really dangerous is when this cult leader asks someone to give up their autonomy and eventually their lives for the cause.
Why is it so? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Kelly.
When I was in college, I was at a party one night, and I was with my roommate, and we were talking about this very thing. Why do people follow other people? Why do they believe things like that? And he said, you can get anybody to do just about anything as long as you talk with an authoritative voice. And I was like, that's not true. And he goes, here, watch this. And he walked into the next room, and in a very authoritative voice, he told everybody they had to get up and walk into the kitchen. And everybody fucking did it.
Yeah.
Didn't even question it. They all just did it. So I mean, it's kind of like apparently human nature for most people to just listen to authority figures and follow.
Yeah, or just everybody saying, "Hey, this guy's really smart. This guy knows what he's talking about," and people just believe the hype. How many times has that happened? How many startups have started that end up being huge scams because, hey, people believe the hype. It doesn't have to be religious in nature, right? It can be claims about all kinds of things. I mean, look at the Apostle Paul. That guy didn't even meet Jesus, and he was like, yeah, this guy's awesome. But you know what? He also felt very guilty about stuff. He talks about how he held the coats of the people who stoned Christians to death, right? So maybe him following Jesus was him sort of atoning for some of that guilt. Again, it goes back to that psychological element. There's a lot of complex reasons why people end up in cults. It's not just for one or two. It's going to be a lot. But the fact is, it does happen, right? And it's still happening. So, were people mythologized from history? Yes, Jesus is one of those people, 100%.
And I think if I was to answer your question directly, John, like how could people believe that people can be gods? How could people give up their autonomy to someone who makes that type of claim? People give up their autonomy to trinkets that they think are imbued with magical properties. People give up their autonomy to lucky rabbit's feet and lucky underwear.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why is it such a surprise that people give up their autonomy when they're already primed to believe in supernatural things, and that that there is entities out there that exist that are deities,
Mm-hmm.
that this person happens to be one of them, and therefore they should have power and control over my life? It's really not a far stretch. People give up autonomy to an entity regularly, especially religious people, right? They're constantly giving up their autonomy. The only difference between the guy in Waco and the average Christian is at least the people in Waco could point to a person, and that person we actually know exists and is actually says the things that they said, right? Like, how is it surprising that they give up autonomy there? And it's not just in religion that we see people do this. People do this in business. People do this in government institutions, like happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And another factor might be that almost every major religion teaches that there's going to be a teacher who comes in the future, right? So Messiah in the future. We have the second coming of Jesus, the Mahdi in Islam, Kalki in Hinduism. So a lot of these major religions are teaching that there's going to be this person. So people who follow this religion are going to be on the lookout for this person, and they're just being conned by really good con men, basically. So, but they're already being conditioned to look for this person who's going to be this Messiah, this great prophet, right?
Yeah. There you go. Well, final thoughts on this, John. What do you think?
Well, we all give up our autonomy to something or someone. For instance, when you join a company, you give up your autonomy to your boss. If you join the military, you give up your autonomy to your commanding officer. When you get married, you give up your autonomy to your spouse. I guess what matters is that you get what you're contracting for out of the exchange.
Well,
usually,
I mean, depends on the marriage, but yeah.
I got a 2-year-old. I did not know what autonomy I was giving. I was signing up to give up. I'll tell you.
Yeah, I didn't sign any contract with my wife that said, anything like that. But I get your point. I get your point, John, for sure. Okay. Well, so what does this mean, John? Does this mean you're going to be calling the show again, or what?
Let's decide where we go from here. Okay.
Okay. All right, Kelly, what do you
Sounds
think
good,
at this
John.
time? I'm going to say within the next 5 weeks.
I was going to say 3.
Okay.
3
All
weeks.
I was going to
All
point
right,
out.
John.
I was going to point out.
Let me win, John.
John, it's up to you. So
I was going to point out that in our little super secret host only chat, we were told that John actually called in last week. So,
yeah, but I say
next week then. My guess.
I wasn't here last week, so I didn't get to see it. So that's
okay. Well, I hope I made the day for one of you. Have a good evening.
Yes, John.
Take
Thanks,
care, John.
You made my day.
Yes, I agree. There you go, folks. There's John. Well,
it's so nice to have a conversation with John instead of like 3 years ago, the contentious
I know, right?
back and forth that we had. It's
what an interesting turn of events. Folks, you can change your mind on things. It can happen, even if you don't think people can. They can. But
we're all on a journey, man.
John's not the average guy.
I was really hoping he was going to come in and say like Hercules, specifically the Disney version, is actually the accurate representation of the historical Hercules.
Yeah,
that's what I was hoping for.
I don't know what his angle was going to be. Yeah,
but then he talked about Braveheart. Oh my God, I can go on tangents about Braveheart as an absolute garbage historical account.
Yeah.
You don't say. Really?
No,
yeah,
no.
Braveheart, not the most accurate movie in the world.
I have a bone to pick with every historical fiction film that does not state very explicitly that they're playing very fast and loose with the rules.
I guess so. Maybe, and you know what? You got to have these disclaimers for a reason. But out of all the like historical movies out there, I never thought that Braveheart was exactly the most accurate to history. But maybe that's just me. I don't know.
I grew up like Fundy and like with Passion of the Christ and all that stuff coming out, and like all that being through Mel Gibson as well, because Mel Gibson did both movies. Like it gave credibility to a young dumb me, I'll tell you.
That makes sense. I can see that. Before we get to our next caller, I need to give a few quick announcements here. One, if you want to support the show, you should check out tiny.c/merch ACA for shirts, hoodies, mugs, hats, etc. And another way to support us is to send super chats. If you're watching this on YouTube, you should get them in, and we will read as many as we can, as long as they are YouTube appropriate, of course. You can also become a channel member by clicking the join button below the video, which gives you access to special chat emojis and early access to YouTube shorts and clips. Last but not least, I have to give a quick shout out to the wonderful, fantastic, stupendous, amazing crew that help make the show happen every single week. Thank you to the video operators, audio operators, the mods, the note takers, and call screeners, and just the folks that are around when we need them for last minute tasks and duties, which it happens quite a bit. So thank you guys for all that you do. And if you want to be one of these very attractive crew members, they wrote that here in the notes, by the way. I didn't come up with that.
He was contractually obligated to say it, actually.
Yeah, that's right. You can be a volunteer or possibly a guest on one of our shows. We're always looking for more people. You go to volunteer at atheist-community.org if you want to get involved with that. So thanks again, everybody. Let's go to our next caller. We have Jim calling in from Florida, who's been patiently waiting on the line with us. Thank you so much, Jim. You are live on Truth Wanted. What did you want to talk to us about today?
Awesome. Well, first, let me comment. Kingdom of Heaven is an amazing show. I don't know if you guys, and kind of one that is non-biased. I don't know what your perspective is on that.
I have not seen that. Have you guys seen that, Kingdom of Heaven?
I believe
Orlando,
I have
Orlando Bloom.
Okay. All right. I'm Googling this. I see this.
Okay. I'm
2005. This was post I was about to say Star Wars. Lord of the Rings.
You guys brought this up. I mean, it's a factual based account of the one of the the nights
Crusades.
of coming
it
down.
says here, so the Wikipedia says this is a film is a portrayal of the events to the Third Crusade, focusing mainly on the galleon of Ibelin, who fights to defend the Crusader kingdom of Jerusalem from the Ayyubid Sultan Saladin. Okay, all right.
So
Absolutely.
I have seen this movie. It is a good movie. It is a fun watch. I am not. My background is in history. I was a history teacher for 10 years. I'm not an expert on this particular period of history, but as a historian, as someone with a history background, as someone who's taught history, the issue that I end up having with all of these films is that they take a general thing and they fill in a lot of things with tidbits that help them tell the story they want to tell. And whenever those things don't match historical reality, they ignore it. They just kind of push on past it. You get misrepresentation of historical figures. You get a false timeline of events, all of these things. What we often see is people will see like, oh, well, they made the set and the people look like they're in the right historical setting. Their armor's right. The settings are right. The set and the people all kind of look like they're doing the things, like the peasants all look peasant-y enough. But when we actually look at what we know about the history of these people, it never ends up panning out accurately. And again, that's fine as long as you're honest about it, like bluntly honest about it, not like the generic based on historical events or based on a true story. Yeah. That is such a cop-out. Caveat.
Yeah, I wasn't calling about this, but I mean, my perspective, my perspective though was that at least it portrays Saladin and it portrays an equal. It's not, pro-Christian or pro-Islam.
I gotcha. And I know you were here to call about it. Let's get to the topic that you do want to talk about here with us. I
called about. We have an anniversary. It's 250 years of our country coming up, and so I'd like to get the three gentlemen here, and I'd like to get your perspective, since it seems like somehow, some way, we're getting driven into that we are a country founded on Christianity, and that didn't
get me excited here.
Is that your belief, Jim, that we're a country founded on?
Believe that we are
on Christianity?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. No. I'm a deist. I've been a deist for 20 years. And so I was raised Greek Orthodox, and I branched out, went through my pilgrimage, know where I'm at spiritually, and and I'd like to get your guys' perspective on this, because it seems to be something that is a crux in my butt.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, this is something that atheist commenters get asked about a lot. The first thing that I always talk about is the Treaty of Tripoli, which explicitly says that America isn't a Christian nation. Now, that's not the Constitution, right? It's something else. So some people will make that argument. And obviously, America was very much so culturally Christian at the time, right? There's no argument there. But a lot of people have pointed out that a lot of people who made some of the founding documents, including the founding fathers, were very secular, very progressive people in many instances for their time. Not all of them. There's a wide range of views, but they certainly weren't all evangelical Christians. So it's hard to say what we could say when we say it's a Christian nation. If anything, it's an example of a more secular nation being built. And I think that's what a lot of scholars who've talked about this on end would point to, is that they really made a deliberate effort to try to make this a secular nation, not led by any particular religion. But I know for a fact that Flabbergasted has a bone to pick with this topic. So yeah, go ahead, Flabbergasted.
I have so many. I feel like I'm eating fish. I'm just picking the bones out, in numbers here. And so first off, Treaty of Tripoli, right? It's not the Constitution, no, but it was drafted under Washington, signed under Adams, and was unanimously agreed upon by every member of the United States legislation at the time, under the phrasing that they are explicitly not a Christian nation. So even if it's not in the Constitution, the understanding of every member of government under Washington and under Adams at the federal level did not see America as a Christian nation is extremely telling. So that's the first point, Treaty of Tripoli. The entire argument that it's a Christian nation because the founders were Christian and they all had Christian ideas and they had Christian beliefs and all that stuff is really not very. It's not.
Well, I know that because most of our founding fathers were deists. Franklin, Paine.
Well, deists.
George Washington never took communion. Monroe, Madison, and Adams was a Unitarian. So right. I mean, you have most of them who are founding fathers. I'm tired of us getting split or getting moved to this place.
Yeah, I hear you.
Let me tell you why, though, specifically, that's such a bad argument from the other side, right? Like, I understand that you're on the same page as me here, right? But it's such a bad argument because everyone was Christian. And they're saying, well, because they were Christian and they created something, that the thing that was created is because of Christianity. But like, if you're going to attribute that, then everything, like the Farmer's Almanac was a Christian book by the same period of time, because that was also written and put together and created by Christians with Christian views and Christian doctrine. But when we look at the things that the foundation of the American system was built on, it was explicitly not Christianity. It was explicitly based on a movement that was a movement away from, actively and intentionally away from Christianity and away from religiosity. It was based off of the Enlightenment movement. And the Enlightenment movement, while was almost entirely comprised of Christians, was Christians separating themselves from their Christianity towards more humanistic types of views of the world. Mm-hmm. So everybody, but you can't say the Enlightenment was Christian, because everyone in Europe was Christian, because if you weren't Christian, you were imprisoned, killed, stripped of titles and rights. Like, you don't get to exist in Europe in the 15th and 16th and 17th century if you're not a Christian, not in a meaningful way. So, like, that doesn't tell us anything. The movement is away from Christianity, away from religiosity, towards humanistic approaches, separating government from religion, separating people from God in so many ways, even if it doesn't, even if it wasn't to disassemble beliefs.
Go ahead, Jim.
Right.
Sorry.
In my perspective too is that I think in Declaration of Independence, I think there's only 4 mentions of God, and none of which mention anything that has to do with Jesus. It has to mention with anything above that. It's about a creator. It's about under one God. It's about
yes. The Declaration of Independence does, but the U.S. Constitution
in the Constitution, same thing. Right.
No, well, there's no mention of God.
No mention of God in the Constitution.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
That's a critical thing, because the Declaration of Independence is not a legal document, right? I think a lot of Americans get that confused, because
so
like,
how are we getting twisted?
How are we getting it twisted? Oh, because Christian nationalists have an agenda to make that into public education, in the same way that they have an agenda to teach that evolution isn't real, and that the Bible is the way, the truth, and the life, and that
Earth is only 6,000.
Yeah,
Earth is only 6,000 years old.
If you convince people that America can only exist because of Christian values, then why wouldn't you want to be a Christian, right? Why wouldn't you want to be a part of that?
Right.
It also gives you a way of excluding and pushing out and pushing away anyone who isn't Christian, who isn't going to conform to that idea.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It gives people an out to say, if you're not Christian, you're not American, right? I mean, this is an implicit bias. It's not said out loud. But how many people post 9/11 looked at their Muslim neighbors and said, these people aren't American and don't belong here, right? I mean, that's just one example. But there is a Christian nationalist bias that is rearing its head again in recent years. It's always been there, but it's become even more prevalent in recent years, and it's quite a scary thing. But that's our take, Jim. What do you think?
Well, it's the 10% of the United States that has the loudest arm, and what's going on right now is you have that, but that population is going down. What happens is, if you guys have seen, there's MTD, moralistic therapeutic deism, that is taking spring in the youth that's out there, which wants, they want a higher power to believe in. They want to feel that they can be happy in life and feel good. And they want to give back to society, and they want to feel that by bringing so, they can get to a higher place. I mean, that's basically what it is. And
at least the ones you've talked to, right?
Yeah.
No, not what I've talked to. There's been the moralistic therapeutic deism, which was a social. It was someone that they took a panel. It was a social. It wasn't it's a non-religious. Someone from Notre Dame did this. And they paneled 5,000 teens from 18 to 25. 5,000. What's important to you? And that's what they come up with. Is those those things that they want to do. They want but they want that sense of community. They want a sense of giving back. They want a sense of happiness, but they still believe in that higher, that they will get to that place. And so, that's where we are in society. And so we have to decide, how can we bridge that gap? I mean, but we have this division of, of this complexity of where we are now. And so I'm in a perspective, I'm trying to bring deism back in some form and fashion. And I get it, like, you guys, those that are in a position that if you don't believe in a higher power, none of us know. None of us know. So,
why believe in a higher power that has no effect?
I know, but
does nothing?
50% of us are agnostic. Yeah. So how many of you are agnostic? Look, I've been on your channels before. Some of you are on the agnostic side. So we're all in this agnostic side, because I'm in this agnostic theos, which goes back to the start of mankind, which is, there was a 13th God that says that there was someone who was an unknown God that we don't know. That's what I believe in.
Okay, Jim. Well, Jim, we could talk about the specifics of that belief all day, and that's fine. I'm not particularly interested in doing that right now. We certainly can, but here's what I want to know, because you're calling into this show, you're having friendly conversation with us. Clearly, you're agreeing with most of our points. What are you going to do as the God believer amongst us to help us right now? Because you see that there's a problem, right? Like, you do see that Christians, by and large, are making this nation worse. I mean, do you agree with that?
Well, I know that the guy that screened me said not to be too relative on, but
we can't talk about particular politicians, but we can talk about agendas.
I will say absolutely yes.
Yeah,
of course.
We're on the same page here. Here's the problem, right? I go to the local church. I'm a heretic. I'm a heathen.
I'm a heretic.
Nobody listens to me, right? And maybe you have your own heresies, but by and large, it sounds like you at least believe in a higher power. You have that connection that Kelly, Flabbergasted, and I are never going to have. So here's what I want to know. What are you doing about it?
Well, I'm trying to bridge the gap with my deist fellowship across the planet, and try to because what happens is we're not a religion. We're basically a spiritual sense.
Sorry, Jim, just for clarification, if I may, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead.
When you say you're trying to bridge the gap, are you talking about bridging the gap between your position and the Christian nationalist position, the our position and the Christian nationalist position, the gap between you and other deists? Like I'm very confused about what gap you're trying to bridge.
Yeah.
And as a follow-up, how do you manifest that?
Yeah.
How do you make that happen?
How do I make that happen? I'm happy.
Well, first, what gap? What gap are we addressing?
First explain the gap, what gap it is, and then explain how you plan on bridging the gap.
I mean, I apologize. I'm like trying to understand the gap. So when we're talking about so the fellowship between those that I'm part of, there's most so
Jim, let me break it down for you real quick. Okay, let me help you out here. I'm not chill with a lot of Christians right now, right? I'm chill with Christians in my personal life, right? But we're talking about Christianity in the national stage. I'm not really thrilled with it, right? It's not really serving my interests, let alone the interests of my friends and family and people that I care about, right?
Or our society as a whole.
In fact, it actively seems to make people's lives worse, whether it's restricting people's rights to abortion and other forms of healthcare, whether it's getting religious ideas into public schools, right? Or taking out scientific curriculum in schools. I mean,
Being used
I
to
could make a list
demonize the
all day.
LGBTQI plus community.
Sure. And again, we could make a list of grievances all day. Why should I listen to the deist position on anything if it's not going to help me dismantle, the problems at hand, right? I mean, maybe there is a God, sure, but what are the people who are believing in God but aren't chill with what's happening? What are they doing about the stuff that's happening, right? Because you already talked about this. You said there's a lot of people that are saying America's forward on a Christian nation, and it's driving you crazy because it's not true, right? I would say that's one sin on a list of 100 that's happening now, right?
So Dan, let me ask you, like, how many people out there that say they're spiritual and they're not religious?
Yeah, tons of people, absolutely.
So where do you think they fall into?
In terms of what? What do you mean? Where do they fall into?
They're deists. They're deists.
I wouldn't say that.
But
I wouldn't
say that at all. My mother when she was still a Christian, said she was
unless they're spiritual, unless they're astrologists, or unless they're focused on icons or
Jim, that's a million. You just listed a bunch of people.
Yeah, Jim, seriously,
the thing is, give me a better example,
or anything like that. Then those people, 25% of Christians are deists. And they don't realize it because deism has been an extinct philosophy.
Okay, but Jim,
if I may,
and I'll let Flabbergasted speak in a second here. But you ask 10 different people, they're spiritual, not religious, what that means, you're going to get 11 different answers. I don't think we can put those people in a box. I think they have a right to reflect their own beliefs without you putting the label of, oh, they're a deist on there, right? I think they have a right to their own identity. I may not like it. I may think it's stupid, but they have a right to explain themselves. I don't think you just get to say they're all deists.
Yeah, I don't think that's an assumption we could make.
Yeah, Jim, I think that is part of the problem first, right? So first off, you're looking at these people and saying they say this, but I'm calling. Hang on, Jim, give me just a second, please. Right? Jim, hang on, Jim. I said Flabbergasted can speak next. I want to try and bring this to a point so we can actually address something because we're kind of talking around issues. We're being very vague in such a way it's really hard to address anything meaningfully, right? And so you're saying that these people are calling themselves this, but you're going to call them something else. Sure, fine, whatever. I that still doesn't answer the question that I think is a really important one here, is going back to the question, what gap are we trying to bridge? Because I think that's still what we're trying to get at. Are you, and this is a yes or no question, are you trying to bridge the gap between the parts of society that are not okay with Christian nationalists and Christian nationalists? Is that the gap you're talking about?
No, I'm trying to no, it's about the gap between those that I understand that.
Let's keep it simple and formulaic, right? The gap between A and B. Please, just so that way we know what we're addressing here, because I think that's something we're really struggling with right now.
Well,
the gap between which group and which other group?
I'm trying to understand where you're coming from.
Well, Jim, you're the one that said you're bridging gaps with people.
And you were talking about deism within that construct, right? Like you were talking about how deism is relevant in this conversation of bridging gaps.
Yeah.
And so I need to know what gap we're talking about before I can address how deism relates to it. I have all kinds of thoughts about deism. Most of them aren't the nicest, but they may not be relevant if we're just talking about, hey, let's get Christian nationalists to be less and more like reasonable and more like more amenable to the other people in society. And if that's the gap we're talking about, if we're talking about how do we bring Christian nationalists back and how do we use deism where we appeal to like vague supernaturalness to get people off of this extremely toxic and harmful version of religiosity. Okay, I think deism is a way you could use that. I don't think it's the best one, but I could see how some people who hold that position might find that as a useful weapon. But if we're talking about something else entirely, I don't know how to address what you're talking about at all.
Well, I thought he was talking about bridging.
Let Jim respond.
Okay. Well, I mean, okay. So, I mean, I went from a strict, form of Christian Greek Orthodox religion, and then I thought, like, okay, I know that that's not my plight. I went on a pilgrimage with my partner, and we went and we visited different places. I know I need to move on, but what I'm saying is, then I moved to Unitarian, which I felt was a good move. And, but what I'm saying though is, from where we're at in, like society is like there's this place that we have right now of the children that are growing up. Okay. Our kids, okay, or when we were raised, we were adopted, or we were brought up, and we were baptized into a certain belief system. And
I give you 15 more seconds here, Jim, to make your point.
Okay,
Jim, please don't say
15,
we.
Yeah,
15,
also not we. Yeah, we're not.
Please say you.
We're three very
talking about your life.
diverse. Yeah, we come from very different backgrounds. But yeah, please, if you could just finish your point. Thank you.
I get it, guys. Anyways, I'm kind of losing track, but anyways, I appreciate your time.
That's okay, Jim. You know what? And it's not fair for you because you got one person on the other line. There's three of us on right now. But I do want to address you real quick before we let you go.
I appreciate the banter. I appreciate the you guys talking to me about this side. I didn't effectively. This is my first time on here. I'm sorry I didn't effectively communicate everything.
You know what? That is absolutely okay. You don't need to apologize for anything. I sincerely appreciate you calling in because most people don't. Right. And you decide you want to talk to us. And that means a lot. And
right
by and large, it seems like we have a lot of things that we agree upon. But I just want to leave you with this before we let you go, because we do got to get moving here, is that for me, right? For me, that where my emotions get riled up in this conversation is that neutrality always benefits the oppressor. Okay. And so a lot of people are being oppressed right now because of Christianity. And when I hear the deist types such as yourself, I'm not saying this is you, I don't know you, but when I hear this language of we just need to bridge gaps and I'll do kumbaya and make people understand my version of Christianity or my version of this religion or my version of how things work, that doesn't do it for me. And the reason why it doesn't do it for me is because it doesn't go far enough. It doesn't say categorically that the things that are happening right now and this misinformation and all the stuff we were talking about is wrong and it should be considered wrong. It kind of just says, well, we can all still be Christians, but we need to do things the right way. We need to do things this way. And to me, that's not enough because I'm already seeing the harm that Christianity is doing right now. So it's really hard for me to make peace with that.
Well, deism has nothing to do with Christianity. It's as far away from Christianity as possible. I mean,
but we're still talking about interacting with Christians.
Yeah.
Right? So I think you should do, Joe.
I mean, deism is far.
No,
deism,
we're not talking about you.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah. We're just talking about broadly. Remember I said I wasn't specifically talking about your specific perspective, but this kind of broader idea, that's Anyway, I've said my piece on it, Jim. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And even more than that, I hope you call again sometime, because I think we'll have some great discussions in the future.
Yeah,
and
John, we should
I really
absolutely
wish you
call
well.
it.
A good book to read if you want to explore the subject a little bit more is The Founding Myth by Andrew Seidel.
Yeah, that's
on
true.
the topic, yep.
Yeah.
I wanted to give Jim a piece of advice, if I may.
You guys read Thomas Paine, The Age of Reason?
Yep.
I have.
Read it.
Okay.
But it was a while ago. It wasn't recent. I'll say that.
I know.
I might recommend.
I get it.
Jim,
Thanks, gentlemen.
Jim,
I appreciate what you guys do. I'm serious, and I listen to you. I listen to your channel every day. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks so much, Jim. You have a great one. Oh,
Jim,
what were you going to say, Flabbergasted?
I was going to say, and I hope Jim catches this, right? Because Jim, what I think you really should do, like, go back, listen to what you were saying, right? We were getting a little lost in what you were saying, and I think we definitely want you to call back. But when you call back, like think about exactly the point you're trying to get at. You talked about Christian nationalism, and then you talked about building bridges. And we were talking about how Christian nationalism was a problem. You were on board with that. You agreed with that. You started talking about building bridges with deism. What do you mean by that? Who are you trying to reach? What problems are you trying to solve? Think about those things and call us back and talk to us about those, because we'd love to talk to you about it.
I'd like to know that too. I think we got a little curt with Jim, and you know what? Again, it's not fair because we're doing the 3 right now instead of the 2. And 3 people, that becomes a lot when you're talking to somebody. And we got a little lost in the sauce.
It was just a little hard because it was really hard to figure out where he was going. So it felt like all of us were sitting here like confused about different elements about what he was saying, and no one had an idea where it was going. So
Yeah, right. Yeah, it was kind of generalized and nebulous. I was having a hard time getting to the point. I was thinking that Ireland was founded by pagan Celts, and you never hear people say Ireland is a pagan country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. But I mean, it refers. I still see when people. I mean, culturally, America was very much a Christian nation, right? I think that's where people get confused. But that's different from saying the founding principles of America are Christian values, right? That's where the apologists really get on that. And I'm glad we talked about that. And I'm glad Jim agrees with us. I think he agrees with us.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page with him. I think he's a friend and an ally in this conversation. For sure.
I think so too. And I'm being hard on the guy because I'm tired of it, man. I'm tired of this thing of saying, no, we just need to make more liberal Christianity. That's the solution. And it's like,
oh yeah, liberalism. That's the solution to our problems.
Right. Well, I mean, I know. And he would say, well, he's not a Christian. And I get that. But he's going to be more likely to be invited to church than I am. I'll tell you that. Right. I mean,
I still have people knocking on my door being like, hey, you want to come to our church? And I'm always like,
maybe,
are you sure?
Yeah, maybe so. Since we started doing Truth Wanted, I feel like it's just like the need for this conversation's gotten even more dire. It hasn't gone down, right? Mm-hmm. Like the Christian nationalist sort of bent on society has not subsided. It has grown.
It's ramped up.
It's a bit scary. And I want to know that folks like Jim are on our side. That's what I really need. If there's any Christians or atheist, curious people watching, not sure, whatever, the most important thing to me right now is not what you believe or don't believe. It's, are you going to help us or hurt us when the time comes down to it? Honestly, right now, that's what's feeling more important to me.
Oh yeah, I care far more about your values and how you see everyone else in society than what you think happens after we die. If what you think happens after we die impacts in what I view to be a negative way, the way you interact with reality and those who live in society with you, then I care about those things.
Yeah.
But give me the progressive Christians who are talking, who are on the same page with me about, like healthcare and human rights and all of these issues that truly matter. Give me those Christians who we can stand hand in hand. We can argue about whether God's real or not tomorrow. But for now, let's address this larger problem of, are we going to treat people in our society humanely or not?
Yeah, for sure. Folks, we are getting towards the tail end of the show, but we're not done yet. I want to thank my co-host Flabbergasted for being on with me today. Flabbergasted, thank you so much. And I know that you're also streaming this on your TikTok, right? What is that TikTok?
My TikTok is I'm Flabbergasted001. Check me out. I haven't been making stuff in a while, but I'm really trying to get back on to doing that. So yeah, please check me out. I was in there like as a little thing, and then my TikTok closed because I hadn't touched my screen in a while and closed it. But yeah, I'm Flabbergasted001.
Yes.
I talk about things and stuff and gods and all
Things
kinds of
and
things.
stuff and God.
Things
Check
and
it
stuff
out.
and God, and I'm starting some projects on getting deep into more historical based topics because that's my jam. So
Fantastic. And I also need to give a thanks to our backup host, Kelly, for really not being your really tertiary host today instead of backup.
Yeah,
You spent
yeah.
more time on air than off air, I think.
we let him out of the cage.
Yeah.
I was mostly staying quiet on that last call. I was letting you guys handle it, but I did get confused by a few things. I did have to speak up a couple of times. So
Yeah. Well,
but I always feel like 3 people on one caller is a little too much. So I was trying to hold
agree.
back as much as I could. So
I agree. And you know what? That's something we got to consider in the future. But for now, you're here. And I want to thank you for that. Despite all of your rage.
well,
you are
thanks for
still
having me here.
Just a rat
Just a
in
Kelly.
a cage. I think I could say that, right? I can. No, Greg.
He's a Kelly in a
me.
cage.
Yeah,
What's that, Flabbergasted? What are you saying?
He's a Kelly in a cage.
A Kelly in a cage. That's true.
really in a cage.
Kelly,
Make
Kelly in a
it
cage.
make it parody and it's safe.
That's a nice.
Yeah.
That has a nice ring to it. Kelly in a cage. This sounds like a nice. Hey, bartender, I'd like to get a Kelly in the cage.
Kelly. Please.
Yeah, that sounds. What's in a Kelly in the cage? You think probably something bitter. I think. I don't know.
I'll have to
Anyway,
make it up. I'm gonna make that.
Things,
Yeah, find some sort of
probably things that are legal in
rock
California,
thing.
but not in other places.
folks, we need to start wrapping things up. I think before we go, Kelly, what's our question this week again? Do you remember?
The prompt for this week is: how do you know it's time to fact check? Wrong answers only.
Yes. And so leave your answer down in the comment section, and we might pick out that for next week. Before we head out of here, Flabbergasted, any words of wisdom you got for us?
Oh, just keep looking out for the truth.
Keep looking out for the truth. That's it. Short and sweet. I love it. Folks, I'm Objectively Dan. This has been another great episode of Truth Wanted. Remember to always keep wanting the truth, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Watch Talk Heathen live Sundays at 1 p.m. Central. Visit tiny.cc/YTTH and call into the show at 512-991-9242 or connect to the show online at tiny.cc/callth.